Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm, of course, author of The Robot Proof Recruiter, which I do not show enough at all, ever. Honestly, never enough. And I'm a facilitator and speaker, but you'll see that I'm not joined by my talented talent acquisition professional, gorgeous co-host, Glenn Martin. No, Glenn double booked himself. I think it's because we switched to Thursday, and even though we had a plan to switch to Thursday for all of August, he somehow forgot. But of course, we wouldn't be, even though we're missing him, without our fantastic sponsor, Enterprise Alumni. So thank you very much to them as ever. And of course, this week we are joined by the fabulous Berrisford, who actually, you're going to have to tell us what you do because you've changed career quite a few times, hence the topic of the show. So I'm looking forward to that. Welcome to the Social Recruiting Show, Mr. Berrisford.
Thank you, Katrina. Yeah, great to be on.
Without
Big
my
fan. Yeah, it does.
No,
yeah, side by side rather than in the middle at the moment. So yeah, very interesting.
I know. But I know that you and I can talk for England, so we should be right.
Completely. Lots of chats, many hours. Yeah.
Many hours. And we've both changed career multiple times, so we should have a thing or two to say. So tell us, how did you end up in recruitment-ish?
I think like a lot of people, yeah. I mean, I stumbled into it. I was working in the Filofax shop in Covent Garden, and I had a few friends in recruitment.
Oh my goodness! You might need to explain to the younger listeners what that is.
Yeah, Filofax shop. Oh my goodness, yeah. How do I explain that in 45 minutes? Probably not. No. Yeah. So I literally saw a role, and I thought I can do recruitment. I'll have a go. My first interview didn't go very well at all, and I asked to sell a pen, which is a great interview choice to do. And then the second one, I got told where to go in the interview, but I got the job, which is another story entirely. So yeah. Back in the day when you could get. Yeah, people would swear at you and do some things.
But you took the job.
Yeah.
No, see, that's interesting that you say that because I remember saying WANK in my interview for Spring Technology and actually nearly not going through to the second round of interview. That's how I met Glenn, by the way, at Spring Technology. And I very nearly didn't make it to the next round because they said, oh, you swore. Because I got lulled into a false sense of security by the end of the interview. It became very conversational, and I just said, "Oh, what a WANK about something," which was quite appropriate to say that to. And it was hilarious. So it's funny you say the interviewer back then swore at you.
Oh, wow. They stood up. They stood up and told me to politely go away, fly away. Really? Wow! And it was quite amazing. And I literally didn't know what to say. I carried on with the script that we had to do. And I remember walking down the stairs and I got a telephone call. I got to the bottom of the stairs from the same person saying, we want to offer you a job. And I'm like, you just told me where to go and now you want to offer me a job. It was, okay.
Odd. So is that a recruitment agency, I take it?
Yeah. Recruitment agency, Buckingham Palace Road. Yeah. 1997.
Wow.
Long time ago.
And then how long did you stay in recruiting per se?
So I moved from BBT and set up their operations in Scotland in 2000. I then, in 2005, moved to Northern Ireland and moved out of healthcare recruitment stayed in healthcare recruitment for a while and then went into banking and accountancy. Did 2 more years with another agency. And then in 1st of April 2008, I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on my own. So I set up my first agency on 1st of April 2008. Of course, at the end of April 2008, the whole world changed, didn't it, really?
I know. It'd be fascinating if anyone wants to add in the comments whether they set up a business at that time. Because I left the world of agency recruitment in 2008 and I started my business properly in 2009. So it'd be interesting to see how many others did that.
It was an interesting time. I think interesting times were the common thread during that period. And I think everyone thought, it's going to be a 2-year recession, and then 2 years later, it's going to be another 2 years. And then another 2 years later, it's going to be another 2 years.
Isn't it?
4 or 5, 6, 7, maybe a little bit more. So, but about 2014, before I sort of started to move away, I think I threw the toys out of the pram, really. I'd done many things, set my own brand up, and I didn't like recruitment. I don't think I liked it from day one, really. I wasn't bad at it, but I didn't really enjoy the bell ringing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you not do that in Halifax sales?
Oh, no ringing the bell. No, there was no. You met some great people, amazing people, and you know, ironically, we sold pens as well. So when someone asked you to sell a pen, it was quite easy, you know. So that's why I didn't get the job.
And it still told you to F off and then hired you, which is crazy. So what is it you're doing now then? From 2014, the last 6 years then?
So yeah,
I know. I'm just asking for everyone else.
Yeah, a bit of a journey, really. So after throwing the toys out the pram and recruitment agency, I went, don't like this anymore. I decided I thought I could mentor agencies and go out and advise them and share the knowledge that I had and empower them in the way of doing things. And we started doing something called smart recruiting back in 2014. And I thought, look, I'll start to teach that to other people. No, it was all 360 recruitment, the way they wanted to do it. They didn't want to know about it. And it just happened. And I basically fell into in-house roles. So I started building in-house teams, bolting on what was the agency model in-house. Going through that, I started to deal with technology and deal with the legacy technology that was just it wasn't a TA model. It wasn't very frustrating. And a lot of the times when I went in as an interim, it was, how do I eliminate the recruitment agencies? You know, that was the first thing. The MD was, get rid of all the agencies, get rid of them. And I'm like, how can you? You know, you don't have a recruitment team. You use 30 agencies. So it's all about building the relationships with the agencies and understanding that they're there to make money, you know, and how you partner with them rather than a PSL. So that journey was really good. And then dealing with the technology, I'd fell in with an ambassador for Candidate ID, you know, the fantastic Candidate ID, and Adam Gordon, Ian Hamilton, and recruitment chatbot. And I found I was listening to technology. And while I was doing that kind of journey in 2017, I was chatting to more and more people about the technology, but they were trying to sell me all the bells and whistles and shiny things, a lot of things you've written about, just nor what they were trying to sell me made any sense. And I was chatting to them saying, actually, guys, what you're actually doing is this. And like, yeah, that's what we do. So the conversation was really easy. So I did a bit of a blog for Chat Talent, Recruitment International, and found I was more involved in that tech space. And that's where I first met Cathal Dawley and Shay Clinch in Resumo. They gave me a demo in 2017. And I was like, wow, this is great. You basically built an iPhone for recruitment. Can I use it in the UK? And they're like, no, it's only Irish based. So I went off and did a very complete side project at that point. And then in 2018, I joined them as an advisor. And now I sit long-winded round as their chief commercial officer. So from...
that actually, because you've kind of given some of it away in a way, because our topic is like, has COVID got you thinking of a career change, which is what happened? I mean, I think part of it is because the world shut down. So a lot of us got to spend quite a period of time inside thinking. However, I have noticed that definitely my roads are so busy now. It's sad. I was thinking that this morning, actually, how sad that so many have gone straight back to the routine, which is, But there's certainly a lot that I don't want to do whatever it is I'm doing anymore. And I want to look to change career. So I thought it'd be cool for us to talk about that, because I've certainly changed career a few times. Kind of how you went about it, because it's not necessarily easy, is it, when you're pigeonholed in you do this. So you were talking about, did you say you got writing? Is that how, when you got blogging on?
I can't.
Was that some of it?
I'm not a blogger. I can talk, give me a chat away for hours trying to put pen to paper. I actually used a dictaphone and then started to just record myself and do a few blogs, but it just wasn't something I enjoyed doing.
So that wasn't how you opened the door into the technology side?
It sort of helped. I think the conversations I had, the same thread of relationship building, the same thread as a recruiter goes into a business and goes, I know what you need. You know, when they're talking about advertising a role, whether you're in-house and agency, you get what the hiring manager needs. And then you translate that into going out and advertising for it. And that's how my journey sort of went into the tech side. I knew what they wanted to say, and I was translating that into what a buyer wanted. And that's how the relationship started to grow in the tech side more, really.
So did you almost create your own opportunity?
Yeah, We all create it a little bit. I think we.
I love the way when I suddenly move. If I suddenly move and wince, it's because I discovered there's a dog under my foot that I wasn't expecting to be there. I've just kicked Banjo really quite hard. Surprised he hasn't reacted. Sorry, everybody. Very professional here on the Social Recruiting Show.
We won't hold it against you, Katrina. This is part of the show. We love the fact that dog's under your feet. You know, I've just kicked mine out of the room because otherwise we'd be all over the place. So
yeah, but we're right in the middle of a sentence, and I just lost you. Sorry.
No,
this is when I need Glenn.
Yeah, we do. I miss Glenn. Glenn, big loves. Yeah, gutted you're not here. Yeah, the beard, the hair, yeah, and the shirt. I mean, those shirts are fabulous. I mean, only Glenn can rock a shirt like that, really.
Absolutely.
But I think, actually, that comes back to your branding. There was an aim, and I think even when I set up the agency in 2008, there was a market in the gap. Not a gap in the market, but a market in that gap. And I could see where technology was going. And I said, look, I want to be involved in this, probably back in 2016, and said, right, how do I start to connect with the right people? How do I build my personal brand? How do I utilize the relationship building skills I've got online? And to be honest, LinkedIn has been fabulous for that, really, you know.
Well, it's funny because we had a chat about Twitter, because you're one of the few guests that hasn't got a Twitter account. That's what got me going. So I started blogging a bit. So I left 2009, ended up in another agency, even though I didn't want to be. And then I was like, I'm going to teach how to recruit on LinkedIn. That was very early, very early. And I ended up in-house for a while, which you can't really see. It's just way back in the beginning of the Searchologist. And then but in that time, I started blogging and tweeting. And that's how I got my name. And I know that's on some of the stages I've got to speak on, because it sort of helped broadcast out the message. But I think LinkedIn's almost kind of caught up with that now. Things like this, being able to stream, there's a lot more rich media on there finally, but Twitter was sort of well ahead of it in that respect. It's funny though, because I was saying to you, don't try and start Twitter now. It's too late. It's like you needed to have started a decade ago.
I think that's it. I think, you know, that there was a point where there were so many mediums like now, and do you spread yourself too thin, or do you focus and drill down on one area? And 2008, when I started on LinkedIn, I just, you know, it was easier to connect with people. You start to connect with more people. But back in about 2016, I said a conscious effort to increase my network, start to bring in followers, you know, start to make more connections, because you could see the value in it. I didn't have time to do Twitter, and I probably didn't not understand it, but just get involved in it, really, you know.
Yeah. Are you hello Brian, are you strategic with it? Because I'm quite, like, I won't just connect with everyone.
Of course I am. Yeah, I've got a
what do you want? And then, like, yeah, okay, so if you're talent acquisition, you're recruiter, you're sourcer, you know, yeah, of course, right? HR, of course, it makes sense, because that's the area that I'm serving. But sometimes I'm like, what do you want? Yeah, sorry, sounding dreadful, aren't I? But do you? Because I do think it works better if you make a conscious effort, not just I'm an open network or I'll add everyone.
I think you have to have a clear aim and relate to the type of people you want to connect with. I mean, I do try to thank everybody that connects with me. Some people think I'm selling back to them. But yeah, I try to make a conscious effort to build that network and then try and engage with them. And over this period of time, I've tried to jump on more Zoom calls with the people as well. And it seems to be working really well to build those relationships up. I mean, that's part of the role that I'm doing for Azumo, to engage with heads of talent. You know, we're an RPO, we're an in-house solution, so it makes a lot of sense. But there are people outside the network that I'm finding really interested in connecting in as well. You know, bringing different ideas in, you know, within other spaces, because we're quite in a little bit of a micro bubble sometimes in recruitment.
Yeah, so maybe I'm being a bit short-sighted. I will reply to the people who I love because they write a personal message. I mean, unless it's one of those personal messages where you're like, really? You copied and pasted that one. But when it's really obvious that it is actually relevant, and then I absolutely will reply to them. But maybe I'm missing a trick. But it's the same with, I guess, taking, not just from a business development point of view, but if someone is looking to change career, if they're wanting to. So, because I'm regularly saying, like, if you, particularly now, like, it's a real tough one, because if you're a company and you're looking to hire an agency and pay a fee, you want someone that's working. Now, that I know that sounds wrong in this market, but you kind of want to pay for that person who's employed, right? So it can happen, and certainly pre-pandemic, where your small gap can become quite big if you're just going to agencies and not going direct to companies. I'm forever saying to job seekers, like, go to the company and start networking with the people, show them your expertise, answer questions, connect, etc. It sounds like that's what you're doing from a business development point of view, but it would also work on a career change. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, it's the same recruitment skills. And I think sometimes the skills that we have as recruiters, and I still class myself as a recruiter, although I haven't properly recruited since, I dip my toes in and out every now and mentor people and have a little bit of a whirl trying to find people and source them. But I wouldn't say I've properly recruited since probably 2017. But I'm still a recruiter, and those skills are undervalued, I think, across the board. Because you have to be multiple professionals. You're an accountant, you're a finance manager, you're a marketer, you're PR. You have to be technically advanced as well in many respects to understand the technology you're using. You have to use your language skills.
Marketing,
there's empathy, there's understanding. I mean, there's a whole wealth of things that business needs. And I think that's where if you're looking at your career and you're considering something else, step back. Some of the really small things recruiters do, the empathy and understanding, the ability to communicate, the ability to translate information and sometimes see the woods for the trees. Understanding that when you go into a business, it's the same for any business. And if you can demonstrate those skills, I think personally, you're onto a winner. It's getting that across with the volume of people that's there at the moment.
Because I did ask you to have a chat with my neighbour, didn't I? Because he was looking to get into IT sales, and actually I know he's got a job and haven't gone and stalked to see what he's doing. I haven't asked him over the fence either. They went away on holiday, so he's in quarantine, so I haven't even yelled over the fence. But what were some of the things you were saying to him then, if you wanted to get out of the agency world and into IT sales? What were some of the things you suggested?
I think it was a very personal call to understand individually what he wasn't doing, what he was looking at doing, where he wanted to get to, and how that aim was to, and where he wanted to go, the kind of businesses he wanted to approach, the type of skills.
Stuff, obviously.
But
in general.
But I think the personal information that he had there is important as well, because it's LinkedIn is your shop window. LinkedIn is your ability to show you as well, your personal elements, especially now. And I think I sent you the talk I did last year about the blurred lines between personal networks and our networks, and that's more relevant now in this period of time. Since we're jumping on Zoom, you're having more personal, in-depth conversations. So showcasing that on the front end was really important, and actually trying to pull out sometimes like an interview. When you're interviewing someone, you're trying to interview or get all the skills. It's reflecting those skills that you have individually or he had, and how he could demonstrate them online. So they becomes more, I don't want to say more attractive. I don't think that's the right word, but give more insight to the experience and knowledge.
But I guess it's like easier to see, isn't it? I mean, I am quite stunned on a regular occasion how, particularly recruiters who just potentially looking for work, whatever work, aren't filling out their profiles. They're not adding their achievements. They're not showing any kind of transferable skills. It's just like almost selling the company, not what they've achieved in that company, which I find fascinating. And my biggest bugbear is they leave the people also viewed on. So, I come to gym and there's somebody more interesting and I just get drawn off because there's all, well, what do you mean they? And which is something they just, LinkedIn probably plucks out of the air and puts there. Who knows how valid it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, turn it off. It's a marketing flyer of you. You should be getting everyone to stay on your profile. I think show some personality. Some of them are very corporate. It's like too vanilla. Make it easy for people to want to hire you and talk to you. Stand out.
Definitely. There's so many ways, and I think so many different groups, and because of the likes of webinars and shows like this, it's getting involved with them, liking, sharing, commenting, being known that you're in the marketplace. If you in that unfortunate position, which a number of people are, and just switch off, nobody's going to know you're about. So be engaged, like and share, take time out, join groups. And I see on Crowdcast, when you're on a Crowdcast, nobody fills in the little profile. You can fill in your little personal profile. All your LinkedIn details can go on there. So when you comment on the left-hand side or right-hand side, wherever it is, people can see you, see your face, see about you. I know. I still look at people.
I just updated mine. I just updated mine. I don't know why. It's something to do with my hair or my lack of hair. But you know, you're absolutely right. And I think I just tuned in to Debbie's great chat with William Tincup, because it was a subject that I'm not particularly strong on, and it was absolutely brilliant to hear what she was talking about. Yesterday with the Global Talent Acquisition Day, I think I'm missing a word out there, but anyway, you guys just forgive me for that. I'm still tired from it. It was, but as many presentations as I could tune in from, because I was having a hectic day. Again, it was free, and the networking and the comments and chit-chatting back with people. And I ended up connected to more people just over, we were just joking over actually swearing, of all things, and dogs and things like that. So you just, but it's human stuff you end up connecting over as well. But then you can build the trust, can't you? Which is such an important part.
Completely. Trust, engagement, relationship building and understanding, and you're showcasing your skills and knowledge and your empathy. And I think, you know, it's easier to say, because I do remember looking back probably 2015, 24, you know, maybe 2016, I wasn't really raising my head above the parapet. I was literally looking at stuff online and just maybe the little like or the other little wave. Didn't dare make a comment. I was like, how could I make a comment? I don't have enough experience. And it even coming on the show here today, I talked about the imposter syndrome of coming on having a chat. And I think it's really important that people do, you know, raise that head, go out and start to make comments. Yeah, there is a lovely network of people out there, you know, and people are warm and approachable in the main. And, you know, if you don't raise your head, people aren't going to notice you, you know.
And also just by the way, thank you, Erin and Debbie. Yes, it was Global TA Day. I don't know what I was calling it all day yesterday in that case. And thank you both as well for tuning in. Erin, actually, Erin, you got a shout out in my 5-minute video earlier. She asked me such a good question. I had to make today's topic all about it. But it was like, sometimes people are intimidated for those of us who do have that global stage. And like, I'll have people like, oh my gosh, Katrina, I didn't know you were there. Now I feel nervous. Someone said that yesterday. I can't think who it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm really quite human. I make as many mistakes as everyone else. And all I did was just start doing what you're saying. I just started talking. And I'd hate anyone to feel like that. So just remember, even if you put them on a pedestal, they're human. They're the same level as you. Just talk to people. So all in the approach.
Completely. I think, you know, you know, I get nervous. I was nervous about coming on here this afternoon. I was thinking, why does Katrina want me on the show? You know, what am I going to talk about? What do I know? What do I, you know? And I think, you know, I know, and I know you so well, and we have so many chats, you know, but it's the same thing. And I think,
if Glenn was here, he'd have given you all the prep under the world. Me, I'm always like, just turn up.
No, Glenn's great. We miss you, Glenn. We miss
Glenn's
you.
Mr. Prep. He's Mr. Prep. I've had to knock that out of him. I'm like, just get the guest to talk and it'll go where it goes. I think that's what makes our show so much fun. It always ends up being valuable. Always.
And I think that value your show has.
It's funny that hearing your vulnerability and saying that you know, not the fear of being found out, it's the other one, isn't it? The not being good enough one. And it's just hilarious that our little voice that pops up and goes, you can't do that. And it's just because our ego wants to, I was talking about that in my 5 minutes. Our ego wants to keep us in our comfort zone. It's, you know, it's why I've switched to doing facilitation, because it's like, if other people tell you to change, your ego goes, no. Whereas if you come up with it, you're slightly inclined to step out. And that's what you're saying, isn't it? Just put your head up. What's the worst that someone do? Just ignore you, probably.
Well, yeah, I mean, take little steps. You know, little. You know, start to have a little comment with peer to peer, comment with friends. You know, and build that relationship with people. And you know, when you have the conversation offline, and quantify your thoughts. So what I'd have a lot of conversations with people. What the talk I did last year and the talks that I do, I tend to chat to people about what I'm going to talk about. Yeah.
I must add that link. I'll add the link out after the show. If I do it now, I'll probably blow it up.
But it's things you're passionate about, and you know, if you've got credibility and passion, and you're uncertain about it, talk to people in that profession. Make sure offline that what you're going to say is relevant and right, and get their support. And then when you go online, you have more confidence of actually saying it. Not saying that I'm still confident about doing it or saying it, but it helps with those nerves.
And I think with a career change, it's exactly that. So if you show that you've got the interest, and show you've got the transferable skills, which you can just, think about the skills that you're talking about on your profiles. But then if you start writing about it or, following people and tweeting with them, they will open doors for you. You will get the most unexpected opportunities. And I get asked to do what I think are strange things, but someone's seen it in me from what I'm talking about sharing, and they go, could you do this? And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And it's the same kind of thing. I'm just doing it on a freelance basis, obviously, because it's my business. But it's exactly that, isn't it? And actually, a few tips on engaging with people. Don't self-promote on their posts. Add value. So add a comment or ask for like more explanation of perhaps what they've shared. But a lot of people tend to go, oh, look at me, I wrote this on, and I would delete those comments straight off the bat as well if it's like self-promotional. Whereas if you go in, which is what you always do so beautifully, Jim, you offer help and you offer advice.
But I think that's what we do as recruiters. I go back to that part when I said I didn't like recruitment. I didn't like ringing the bell. I was recruiting social care workers, and I'm on the phone to a social service department, and I'm bringing care people in, and suddenly the bell's ringing in the background, and the head of social services is like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's just somebody has made a load of money out of a placement kind
of thing. Out of social care that has no money.
But the actual helping people, communicating, and I just chat to people all day long, and that's part of what we do. Although that has potentially been lost a little bit over the years, the way we communicate, we don't pick up the phone as much as we used to. That was our biggest tool.
Here. It's here. And I've had several messages just, and we're like, I'm not going to answer it. I'll come back to you later. It's amazing, isn't it? We don't just call. I do miss that.
I actually, through this period of time, I've actually enjoyed Zoom because I can see somebody. Do you know what I mean? I can see their reactions, and I can hear them. The mobile, I don't think is as good. Nothing's going to beat a face-to-face meeting. But if you're on chatting to somebody, you can jump on a Zoom call. But you have to be very conscious that not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the ability to do it. So it's reverting back to
I do find it's very individual. So I was chatting with Eva, who I mentor, and we were talking about, she actually left her video off by mistake. And I said, okay, well, I'll switch mine off. And we actually had the most awesome conversation because we were really listening and we could move. So I like these to a point, but then if I had to sit on it all day, which I know a lot of people are having to endure, I don't know how you're doing it. I need to move. I need to get up. Even now, I'm like, I really want to get up and move. I've only got to sit here for 45 minutes and it kills me because I've got to sit down, stand up desk, I walk around, I do laps, I go out in the garden. And so I think sometimes it's actually just saying which is better for you. And I agree with what you're saying. I'm loving seeing in people's houses, but I also like to call. I like to walk.
But as you say, don't be controlled by the technology. You control the technology. Turn the camera off, and the other person turn the camera off, and then walk around. You can utilize it works for you. You don't have to have the camera on, but I find it's a lot easier to make that connection. It's a lot clearer because I'm walking around with the phone like this. Whereas if I put these in, I can walk around the house, turn the camera off, and chat to people, and it's come back into the room.
But Eva was also saying to me, it's also been proven, though, that on Zoom chats, most of us talk. You said you don't do this, but most of us look at ourselves instead of the actual person. Whereas if we were out sitting in a cafe, we'd be sitting side by side, people watching and whatever, wouldn't actually just be watching ourselves to make sure that, are we sitting okay? Are we straight? Are we, how's the hair?
Well, as I said vanity reasons, really, because of the face during this period is all a bit lopsided. Having this Bell's palsy has knocked me physics a bit, and you
got like a double whammy, didn't you?
A little bit. It's sort of it's better, and it could have been a lot worse, and so it's a great side for playing poker,
Nobody would have noticed. We've got some comments here. Yolanda Van Eden, lovely to connect with you as of yesterday. Preparation definitely helps to calm those nerves. It does. And I think particularly if you're doing a webinar or an interview or something like that, but this is just conversation. So I agree, unless it's our show. Tom Bolt, add value, best comment. Yeah, if you just need to lurk and learn, that's okay. Absolutely. Just don't this self-promoting thing. Somebody teaches it somewhere and people come on and just like, oh, well, here's an article I've written on this and it's really salesy. And I'm like, delete. Shafiq, weren't you there at lunch as well? Oh, goodness, as busy as I am. Even before the pandemic, I was using Zoom to do first interviews, and someone at Global TA Day yesterday thought the first call should be done by phone as people are possibly getting Zoom zoned out. Zoom zoned. That's so cool. What do you think? Yeah. I'd ask them. That's what I'd do.
Yeah.
What's your preference?
I think that goes to anything and everything you're doing, really. What is the presence? What is your best and easiest form of communication? And actually, as well, we've got to consider, especially when we're recruiting, that people might not have the technology. They might not have the ability to use it. And, you don't want to distract people. We talked about attracting as much talent as we can. If we then go, well, jump on a Zoom call with us, and you're going to put somebody on because they can't get on a Zoom call. It's...
And there's still companies that have it banned. So one of my mastermind pod members, it's banned at her company because they had a little issue there for a while, didn't they?
A little one, yeah.
Long fix, but her company still banned Zoom, so she has to use her phone. So guarantees she can't use video, and she's missing out in a way because we'd love to see her face and have her as part of it because we're a group on there. But at the same time, it's exactly what you're saying. The tech isn't there. It's hard for her. She'd just rather jump on something that is permitted, but I don't have it, so it's like. Yeah,
the security
Wi-Fi issues. I have to for this. I'm plugged in. I'm got an Ethernet cable.
Yeah, you do. You do have to conscious of it. And actually, we were chatting on a show the other day and saying, maybe that's the new innovation in some places, that there will be pop-up interview booths for people that don't have that technology. So later a we work, a we interview. So you could actually pop in, do an interview on screen, and then
why not change all the old phone booths? They're still around. There's one up the road. They're still there. Okay, maybe that's
decontaminate them, wouldn't you? Really, there are things hygiene-wise you'd have to do. The old telephone booths weren't very safe anyway, were they? Yeah. We're showing our age here with telephone booths and faxes and everything else as well. So
you didn't see my presentation yesterday. I had a 70s phone in it. Hopefully the noise came through. I had it ringing and everything.
Nice.
I love it. The old one, have to go like that, and the kids today don't know how to use it. Very cool. Shafiq, I do it as my clients use Zoom to interview, as they can't do person to person. Of course. No, nobody can at the moment, can they? Just want to make sure that the candidate has the ability. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I hear that, making sure the candidates have got the ability, but I'd ask them as well. Because sometimes it is, I'm driving or I'm walking somewhere and I don't, particularly for women, do we have to, I don't, I'm really bad. I seriously just put mascara on, but a lot of women are like, oh God, I've got to go and put my whole face on and brush my hair and check what my shirt is. And it's actually quite a drama. Well, obviously you brush your beard.
Oh, yeah, and you only need to do half yourself these days. There's you could just wear shorts at the bottom or what you like. You only have to do the top half for Zoom. Really, it's not.
Even this would be very unprofessional, wouldn't it? I've got a very nice T-shirt on with a great big hole down here. By the way, I'm very good at putting my T-shirt into my belt and putting holes in my T-shirt, but it's not professional enough. You'd have to put a shirt on. Too much hard work.
If you go back to the skills that the recruiters are looking at to help people on Zoom, there's a whole area there that they can help companies with in the interview process. Yeah. And I think that understanding that where a business has weaknesses is and what gaps you can fill, where are the skills that you can fill as a recruiter? We're talking about changing careers. And it's not just in a recruitment role. No. It's any type of business, engagement, social engagement, interaction, the marketing element, the sales element, the tenacity, the drive. Yeah. I mean, I do feel that recruiters are very undervalued and always have been. We've got such bad names in the main, but there's some great recruiters who really do care. And, I'm connected to a lot of people. I was connected to a new one today, looking for work, trying to get through the journey, the whole process. It's a challenge.
The vast majority of recruiters are great. Unfortunately, as with every profession, there's the 20% that are just screwing it up for everybody else. By the way, 20% is a figure I just plucked out of the air. Please don't quote me on that. It's just, but there's an element that are unfortunately. And unfortunately, practically every job seeker has an experience with a recruiter that they will bring up. They won't necessarily bring up, oh, by the way, there's that person who placed me here and changed my entire life. Most of the time they'll bring up the negative. It's a bit of it's a toughie that you're saying. Sorry.
I was going to say, we're not perfect.
This is meant to be about you, not me.
Yeah, no. It's about us. This is, I said to you the other day, Glenn's not here, so we just
chat.
But, yeah, I think, it's we're not perfect, and I think that worry goes back to being online as well. Trying to be perfect, try to be authentic, get online and start talking, but not, if you're as a recruiter, you're always trying to find the perfect match. And are you then fearful to approach another career where you don't think you're the perfect match?
Yeah.
Trying to get the recruiter head off, and go, actually, I have these transferable skills that add value. And while you're saying you want this, I can demonstrate I can do that, and I can add a lot more to it.
Yeah. And it is possible, like if you really are thinking of changing direction, because I'm just thinking, so I started at university, it wasn't for me, long story, ended up working in the bank, got to a point where they just went, well, without a degree, you're never going to earn more than 30,000 Australian dollars. And I ended up in the motor trade, but not selling cars, selling all this after product that you didn't technically need, but I was very good at selling it for the captive audience, and like doubled and tripled my salary. And then when I came over here, it was when I fell into recruitment. And then from there, I've changed direction multiple times. And again, I think it's just what you're saying. Just talk to people and see what's around. I mean, it's like a lot of people wanting to get in-house from agencies. Sometimes that can be quite hard. But if you network and you become known by the heads of talent, well, they'll open the door for you. But it's that doing the work, isn't it?
And now from in-house and agency into the vendor side, because there are lots of vendors that want that knowledge and experience of the recruiter of using the technology. I mean, going back, I did catering. That's what I did. I wanted to be a chef. I didn't choose to do recruitment. This wasn't the career I wanted. Ended up working people with learning difficulties for a period of time before actually falling into the Farlefax shop in London and then going into recruitment. So, it's not the career I started, but it is a career. It is a profession. And I think, one of the things we've got to stop talking about is an industry. It's a profession. Everyone uses the word industry all the time. It's it is a profession, so it's a mix of professional careers, so. And
I think you're right, it doesn't leave you, does it? I still feel I think like a recruiter, like that ability to go and search for someone and to work out if they're right for it. That's the bit to me that's sort of different compared to, say, more of a sales and marketing role where it's a bit more, just sales, you're still kind of selling, but you're selling a product, whereas this is like a hunt match.
You're not only that, if you're dealing internally and dealing with the hiring manager and the hiring manager has a request, you're then translating that information and finding that information for that person, for the hiring manager. The same as you're an agency going to a company, you're helping resolve a problem. That's what you're doing internally and the struggle to find those people. And then you're using all the skills and abilities. And it is those small little abilities, the tenacity, the drive, the persistence that you have. There's a fine line with persistence, otherwise you start getting into that little bit of, there's a level. But, that the persistence that you have to keep going and the determination, and especially through periods like this, these are tough times to people. And, we're dealing with people's livelihoods. We're dealing with people's careers on both sides. Yeah. So, we're helping people in many ways. So, I think, the ability to change career shouldn't be relied upon thinking I can't do that because I'm a recruiter, or just don't use. We're taught not to use the word just. I remember the old training days. Don't use the word just. Kind of thing.
I said that to the decorator out the front. He just said, "I'm just the painter." I went, "No, you are the painter." He just looked at me quite stunned. No just. There are no jobs. Yeah, but I think it's just. Actually, it's probably is using those amazing recruiting skills to kind of go, okay, this is actually where I want to go, and it could be completely different career. Completely different. And it's just a case of showing your passion for it, showing your knowledge, going and learning, all those sorts of stuff. I think it's completely possible.
Definitely. As you know, I did a bit of a side project that took me completely away from recruitment, and I started at the very bottom in the background of stuff. And, that was really different. It wasn't recruitment, but the same skills were there. You're listening, we're always talking about listening, looking, observing, understanding, communicating, building relationships, helping, taking direction, is the key thing. So, recruiters make good employees of businesses, at any level, at any point. So,
yeah, the majority. I still think there's some that need to. I think
there's somebody that need a very good class, maybe.
Possibly. Sorry.
Some that need a very good sort of masterclass, maybe at some point. Really,
mastermind. Yeah, because I was just going to say, I do think it's easier for us who were in recruitment before the technology got in the way, and I think now it has become a bit too much like, well, you just put an ad here and you just search on LinkedIn and you just send a message and they've lost the human art. So I do think there's a bit of a generational thing going on there, without offending anyone. Hence the masterclass. But actually the mastermind, I should say. I'm calling my own thing the wrong thing. What's actually fascinating about it is that it's actually attracted older and more experienced recruiters than I expected. Really interestingly, and they're absolutely loving it. So that's really cool. Yolanda makes a great point. We are also quite good at coaching. I agree. And I would love to see more recruiters go into that sort of the job search coaching, recruiter coaching side, hiring manager coaching. That would be cool because of the unique skills that they have. I know Dov Zavitskis, he's going to be so unimpressed that I can't say his surname, has gone in, and because he knows, like what I was doing early on as a psychologist is teaching job seekers how to, you said you didn't want to call it headhunt, did you? But how to find those opportunities, how to go and find those hiring managers to go and connect with as well.
I don't think it's not calling it headhunt. I just think the term, we flipped it to smart hunting. It's smart hunting, talent smarter, technology smarter. So it's a smarter way of doing things. We're all looking for a smarter, more efficient way. And that again is where recruiters have skills. You're trying to go from A to Z, and as a recruiter, call us maybe socially efficient sometimes. We do want the easiest route a lot of the time to get there. So there's a skill in that.
That's how it brings back. Because our brain will always want us to go on the same thought pattern because it's easier. So it'll just send us on the same route until we go, and try and get it to. That's why it's quite hard to change. It's interesting. I've enjoyed getting into all of that. Again, as I've changed tack again. So even though I'm still in the world of recruitment, I've come into this year going, well, I want to do this now. So it's all possible. Mr. Barris, we're running out of time. How does this happen?
Wow.
Always so fast. Was there anything you felt, my mouse is on strike? I'm trying to remember who next week's guest is, and my mouse has gone on strike. I told you, it doesn't like being too far away from my MacBook. Was there anything you felt you wanted to say that you didn't get to say? Any pearls of wisdom that you just thought?
Do I have any pearls of wisdom? I don't think I do.
Stop that.
Just. I mean, well, there you go. There's the bit. Start to believe in yourself a little bit, and all the recruiters looking in there. It's going to come back around again. There will be a point. There's a need. We're already starting to see an uplift, and we're already starting to see people getting jobs, which is great. And I think that's to end on some positive news of things.
This from Tuesday, from the 1st, I've seen so many people getting work. There's definitely stuff going on out there.
And new titles, there's new ways of doing things. It's if you look at that whole talent journey and the attraction journey, through that journey, there are skills needed. And it's what skills do you have during that journey? Is it the attraction stage? Is it the onboarding stage? Is it the interview? Is it the assessment? Is it the selection? Is it the search? Is it the marketing? Is it the PR? So, look at that journey and go, where do I fit? What skills do I have? Yeah. And where could they be transferred on other businesses?
The thing I've always said to people, when they've come to me and said, you've started this business, how are you still in business? Good question. Determination or something. But it's do the thing that makes you sit up. Now, I was told this years ago, but if Jim asks me to do something and I don't want to do it, I'll go like that. And I won't even know I've done it unless I'm really consciously, like say you said, could you actually do some sourcing for me? I love teaching it, don't want to do it, I would slump. But if you said, Katrina, come and sort my hiring managers out, I'd be bolt upright, buzzing, going, let's talk. Do that as well. When you want to shift career, you have to follow that sit up buzz energy. Laura Borland, that's the woman that told me that. Sit up buzz energy. I cannot recommend that enough. And then you'll always end up going.
You've got to have that passion for it. You know, it can't be a stopgap. It can't be something. You've got to be something that excites you. It's just got to get you going. Yeah. And the fire in the belly of the recruiter is the key thing. You know, that's you know, we always wanted that person when you're joining a team. That person, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick up the phone, or I'm going to dive into the database, or I'm going to write those job ads. I'm going to make a difference. Making a difference in some way, you have to be passionate about doing. Otherwise, it becomes a chore. You know. Yeah,
and we don't want that. What a perfect note to end the show on. Next week, we have Louise Trials. I'm so glad I managed to get my mouth to work because it's 2 years on, believe it or not, already 2 years. I just realised I was off frame. Running Speaking for All, which is our little group where we were trying to increase the diversity amongst speakers in the recruitment and HR space. So Louise is coming on to chat to us about that, which will be very, very cool, because she's been very active, as have I. So I'm looking forward to catching up on that one. Mr. Berrisford, where can people find you other than LinkedIn, not Twitter?
Just LinkedIn, really. Yeah, simple point to LinkedIn. I'm there. Yeah, come and connect.
Highly personalised invite to connect, saying I saw you on the social recruiting show. Yes.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, and particularly for coming and joining us on our new day, which is Thursday. We will always be going out on Thursday, so it's Thursday next week. We have switched days after nearly 5 years. It's going to confuse a lot of people, but we're quite excited to be coming out to you on Thursdays. So we shall see you next week. Again, a huge thank you to Enterprise Alumni for being our fantastic sponsor and keeping us running through this time. Jim, thank you again for your time. And to everybody in the comments, have a glorious, it's not quite weekend now. What do I say at the end? Glorious Friday and then your weekend? Yeah, that'll do. Anyway, something like that. Anyway, have a good rest of the week.
And Jim.
Thank you, everybody.